Welcome back to, I think this is the 6th session about Turkish programming exports at MIPCOM 2015. My name's Ed Waller from C21 International Magazine. We're going to be talking about the power of unscripted. This is a super panel. We have a very distinguished set of panelists, and I'll just introduce them briefly, and then we can crack on. On my left is Izzet Pinto, the CEO of Global Agency, one of the biggest exporters of programming from Turkey. On his left is Marina Williams, the COO of International Operations of Endemol Shine Group, and she's based in London. On her left is Jamie Lynn, Executive Vice President and Head of Sales and Distribution, EMEA, for FremantleMedia International, based out of the UK. And last but by no means least, Idil Belli, General Manager of Istanbul-based Sera Film Services. So thank you for the panel for coming to speak with us. I'm going to start by just giving an outline of a lot of the panels that we've spoken about here, and a lot of the buzz is about scripted programming. And I'm going to ask Izzet to talk us through the importance of unscripted to Turkey's programming exports. And who better to ask than the man who I think was selected as the MIPCOM's face of Turkish programming exports for all the billboards. Is that right?
Thank you, yes. Thanks to Read Me Them. They wanted to do this campaign. And we started 9 years ago as a very small, and then we were lucky to grow, so they said, why don't you become the face of our new campaign? Means great success stories happens at MIPCOM, and that's why they did those nice billboards. So I'm also very thankful to them.
So how much of the boom in Turkish programming is down to unscripted programming, in your opinion? Is it?
When we started, actually, we started only with formats. We had a single format called Perfect Bride, a wedding format, and that started very strong, actually. And then the drama came after 2 years. But right now, in the last 4 or 5 years, we have been selling so much. And when we say so much, that means like we are exporting to almost 100 countries. It doesn't mean that we are airing on 100 countries, but when we look at the official deals, some are down to 40 countries, another to 30. So I think Turkish formats are really booming. And there are couples that does so well. I also prepared a video, a very small clip, just shows Turkish formats around the world from different countries. And I think this will give you quite knowledge about what we have done lately. And I think more will come. And if we can also create a very big couple of more hits, you will hear more about this Turkish buzz.
Now, the traditional sort of idea behind the format export business is that you create an idea and it becomes a hit in your domestic market, and then you take the IP behind that idea and export it around the world based on that domestic success. Is that the case that's happening in Turkey? Is it the case that you're building successful unscripted shows in Turkey and then exporting them, or are you getting the similar support from?
Unfortunately, there aren't too many local formats. In 1 year, maybe we have 3 or 4 hits from Turkey, but we have to bring at least like 10 to 15 throughout the year. So what we do is we are very much open to paper formats. People pitch to us, and if we like it, we invest heavily on it, not only in pilots, but marketing as well. And then we take it to at least one country, and when it's produced, then with those images and the rating reports, we sell worldwide. I also love creating formats, and I create at least 2 to 3 formats. And of course, I invest in them as well, because I believe in them. And then we sell it all around the world. Frankly speaking, it's my biggest passion to create formats, and I hope I can create the next big hit.
It's certainly one way to retain your IP, to just create it yourself, I guess. How tough is it doing what you're doing in a market where the local broadcasters are so dominated by drama, and also apparently quite risk-averse when it comes to unscripted?
Well, what happens is we have great creators in Turkey, including Erdifilm, Rüyhan Duralı. He's a brilliant guy, and I represent most of his formats, and all of his formats became big hits. So I think if you can really find good formats, then you are a winner.
So the shows that you've showed us here in your clip, were they all based on paper sales or just sizzle reels?
Half of them were aired, but the others just ideas, and then we shot the pilots and made it on air.
So it's even more of an achievement that you've done it without, often without a Turkish show to give them an example.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so how does it go then? How does the development process happen at a global agency, aside from the ones that just come out of your brain? Do you have a pilot fund, or do you have some sort of development process that you can share with us?
We have acquisition people of 2, and also I have a look at it. So 3 of us looks in all the paper formats we receive from around the world, not only Turkey, by the way. And throughout the year, we receive at least 300 to 500 applications paper. And out of those, we select top 5. And throughout the year, we invest in them. We shoot pilots and then promote it in the markets. And after 6 months, at least one country puts it on air, and we make a new trailer from those countries. Then we relaunch it after a year again. And then more sales are achieved. So it's a cycle of 18 months when you can have real success. Like Keep Your Light Shining, I created 2 years ago, and we are having the best time now, after 2 years.
And who's buying? Which territories are a natural market for Turkish unscripted?
Europe is the best, especially France, Germany, Netherlands. We are doing fantastic over there. Also Asia, China is a booming market. CE region is growing. We have so many formats over there. We are not so strong in Latin America yet, but that's our next goal, to be strong in Latin America as well. And so our format sales has doubled in the last 3 years. And just to give an example, like only 8% of our revenue was from formats. Now it jumped to 27% in the last 2 years. And I'm hoping to have it 50-50 in the next 2 years. So format business is so important in global agencies catalog.
And the places where you could take your unscripted ideas domestically, tell us about those. Are there certain slots or certain networks that you could say to them, I know it's a Turkish idea, but give it a punt?
No, I don't do that because, as far as I believe, when you go to Turkish networks and I say that I have a format, they look like, oh, it's a local format. They want foreign format. For them, foreign is very important. So I sell first abroad, make it a success, then pitch to them. Then I think it looks more valuable.
So it's like the reverse of the format business, really.
Right, right.
Okay, so take it abroad first, make a hit overseas, and then that will twist the arm of the local network in
I think
Turkey.
Psychologically they feel better.
Give us an example of how that's worked. Which shows have worked in Turkey on that basis?
Like, for example, Keep Your Light Shining was a paper format, and right now it's produced in so many countries. Then a couple of channels, they want me to produce now. And also, maybe it will be our first production as a company, to go into production. And so I'm evaluating that. Okay,
excellent. Well, I'm going to bring in Marina, but I'm not done with you yet, is it? We'll come back to you once we've got a little bit of a group discussion going, if that's all right. So Marina, tell us your experiences I mean, representing one of the major production groups globally, if correct me if I'm wrong, the only one that's actually operating as a production entity in Turkey, bringing IP in and taking IP out. Tell us about how your experiences of that.
Well, we have set up a production company in Turkey around 5 years ago. So it's been quite an interesting experience. In fact, we initially started as a non-scripted production company with the idea to bring our global franchises into Turkey. And we've been very successful with Wipeout and Deal and No Deal. These were our first projects. And they were many episodes, many seasons. And we were very lucky at that time that our main client, Show TV, was really focused on non-scripted productions. However, a lot of things have changed in the market. And indeed, scripted dominate the schedules a lot. So we actually felt the need that in order to develop our local business, we had to shift to scripted programming. And we launched the scripted division. So when it comes to non-scripted, it seems to me that the local broadcasters really don't want to take a risk. And that's a big problem, which I see in the market in terms of the local development of non-scripted. Because you're absolutely right. Our model is develop a format, launch it locally, have rating success, then take it to the group. And Endemol is known to take their local formats and make them hits very quickly, because we have now 80 companies worldwide. So unfortunately in Turkey, it didn't happen yet. So we only made a very small local format, which is a game show for children. And it was not even commissioned by a broadcaster. It was commissioned by Unilever as an advertising sponsor. It's called Max Adventures, and it aired on Disney in Turkey. And I think, indeed, it will travel now with Disney or with Unilever into other countries. We have a discussion.
Tell us about the business model behind that. How did it work? The money, the editorial input, all the rest of it. How did it all come together?
Well, actually, we work with brands a lot in the market, and we do regular pitches to the advertising agencies. And so quite often we learn from advertisers as to which brands they want to market or which product in the market. So during one of those pitches, this conversation came around, and we said, actually, we think we have a great idea to promote the ice cream for Unilever. And we developed a pitch, and it was accepted. So the production was completely paid for by the advertiser in this case. And then we negotiated with Disney to place it on air. So for Disney, it was a fantastic deal. They didn't have to pay for the program.
So did you take it to Disney first, and they refused it? Or?
No, we didn't. So it really came out of the pitch with the advertiser.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, the idea of the Turkish networks being risk-averse and, as Izzet says, favouring international formats, that's obviously suits your business model right down, doesn't it? That's a good news.
Yes,
for you.
it kind of almost spoils us in a way, because we have such a variety of formats that sometimes it is indeed easier to bring your international format into Turkey and adapt it because it's a quicker sell than develop it locally. However, in our future strategy, of course, we would love to develop Turkish format that can make the hit around the world, so that the local Turkish team can also gain royalties from the rest of the world and be successful financially, not only creatively. So that's definitely an ambition. But this year, so we are doing some exciting things, and believe it or not, but there are still markets where Big Brother was not launched. And it's actually Turkey. So we are launching Big Brother on the 7th of November on Star TV for the first time.
This is Star TV, right? So tell us how the format's been adapted to suit local sensitivities.
It's obviously been a challenge, and it's still a challenge. So we don't know how the audience will react. So there are some sensitivities, but we are building a house. It's built completely like new and all the technology together with Star TV. It's a very big project. It's quite an amazing house, so I look forward to see it. I haven't seen it yet. And we looked at a variety of versions that we want to kind of use as an example for Turkey, and I think it will be quite based on the US version. So that's where we have the most experienced team, and it's mainly gameplay inside the house, both physical challenges and some psychological challenges for the cars to achieve. And in US, it's a very successful production, and because Big Brother has been on air there for 15 seasons and counting. So there are a lot of twists, a lot of games, and I think apart from developing something locally, we can actually use our expertise from there.
Excellent. One of the sort of foundation stones of Endemol Shine's business model is rights retention. Tell us about the rights, the situation in Turkey when it comes to who owns ideas. If you come up with an idea and pitch it at a network and the network puts it on, do they own it or do you own it, or is there just a fight?
There are different discussions in place, and it all depends. So I think, yes, of course, you can create the idea and you can register the IP and you can own the idea. You know, it depends if how it's financed as well. So quite often broadcasters ask for a share of IP. Well, none of us, the big ones, want to share IP. So it's always a tricky negotiation.
Excellent. Okay, well, I'll come back to you in a moment, Marina, when we get through the rest of the panel, but don't think you're off the hook. Jamie, a market where they love international formats. It must be like taking candy off a baby, right?
Well, not entirely. I mean, I don't directly. I mean, I've been coming to Turkey for many years, and it's like from. I used to handle the market directly many years ago, and it was always a market that was full of just really passionate, great people. I mean, it's a very interesting free-to-air market. Like, you talk about the number of free-to-air channels as well, which is, you know, we have a very buoyant pay TV, finished tape business as well, but in the format business, you are going for the large free-to-air broadcasters, of which there are upwards of 10, where and about 8 that matter to some degree. Where in very large markets like U.S., UK, you've got 4 or 5 at most. So there's a lot of competition for it. I mean, but having said that, it was we came with a great canon of formats, and we also learned along the way. There was so much to learn about Turkey that was incredibly unique to the way that they do it. Because, I mean, we're big believers of Fremantle, of adapting to the local interests and needs, but also in protecting sometimes our formats and sometimes protecting producers from themselves in the cases where we license in, because they think they want to have certain ideas. And one of the things that I always found amazing about Turkey, and at first I thought it was I just thought they were crazy, because shows that were a half an hour in the UK tend to be 4 or 5 hours in Turkey in prime time. You'd have a show like Family Fortunes or Family Feud that they'd run for 4 hours, and I just said, that can't be. The audience they won't sustain this. This is impossible. And so I ended up having to learn that this is correct. This is how it works. I think the attention span of the Turkish audience is extraordinary. And so with their dramas, they're incredibly long. But I had to sort of sell the ideas back into the center office, saying, look, this is how it works here, and so you have to find that balance to sort of work to the local market. And also, I think we also discovered that you have to be. There was a time. I mean, look, it's a market that's grown, and almost when I speak about a certain number of years ago versus today, it was there was a real tendency to want to rush formats to air, something that we're always very hesitant to do. And any time when our gut said this is a mistake, it usually was a mistake. So we made plenty of mistakes along the way. We licensed some great formats that went for just one season and shouldn't have done. But then, we've had also, we've navigated our way through the market, and we've had great success. And it's one of the really, really interesting markets for us. And a lot of our great franchises go for season after season and continue to refresh themselves, and sometimes even provide ideas back into the center from the way that they do their format. So again, it's a two-way street that way as well.
As a sort of, if you will, an outsider looking in, how do you see the business different in terms of the shows you've got away and the shows you haven't that you thought you should have done, and shows that have worked everywhere but haven't worked here, or worked nowhere but only worked in Turkey, or what's unique about the Turkish market? Well,
I just think that you just have to find the right partners. It comes down to that. I mean, I rarely think it was the show. I think it was sometimes finding the right channel, the right partner, the right slot, and the right producer is really, really important. And so, I mean, one of our great successes has been Got Talent. It's a great example of a show that is very Turkish. It's got its own feel, but it's very clearly our Got Talent format. And that was a very interesting example of the right partnership. I mean, many people who are Turkish in the room and many people internationally know of Ajun, who is our host and the owner of the production company that we originally struck the deal with, which started on Show TV. He's now the owner of TV8 channel, and the program has migrated over there. It's coming into Series 7. He's a very interesting, and he surrounds himself by a great team of really passionate, engaged people who have great ideas about television. And I brought him in to meet Simon Cowell, and he's boldly presented ideas to Simon, and I'm kind of holding my breath going, I don't know how this is going to go. But Simon comes up afterwards, like one of his auditions, going, this guy is great, so he's through to the next round. So it was, and things like that have been great, and it's a market full of great characters. I mean, Izzet here is one of them. I mean, I met him a few years back. I mean, anyone who doesn't know his story, and we don't have time to hear it today, it's extraordinary. It's a country and a people in the media business. It's got a real entrepreneurial
Thank you so much.
Well, it's true, and the same thing goes for Ajun. There's great entrepreneurs with great passionate ideas. You have to navigate the right people for sure, but it's a lot of fun in the process. Really, really, I love the people I meet there are always really, really interesting, and if you partner accordingly, you can do very well.
You've got something to show us, something.
Well, I mean, there's some people find this funny. So, I mean, just to show you the scale of Ajun, I was paparazzi'd in. I was out for dinner with them one night, and I'm not used to this kind of thing. This doesn't happen in France or anywhere else we go. So yeah, we went out for dinner, and I mean, Ajun there on the left was, all of a sudden people got alerted to the fact that he was at the restaurant. And I think that's when I realized his scale of popularity. It came out, it looked like the Academy Awards of flash bulbs, and he made me come stand in, and he said, I think it says, Ajun has a fish dinner with his American friend. I don't know. I'm not even American, but it was. And the funny thing is, it was in not just that one. It was in 10 different Turkish papers, all different angles. And so when I went into meetings the next day, I had all of my clients and friends were in hysterics that I've. So, but that's the extent of my press history in Turkey. I need to get a new publicist because it's gone downhill since then.
We'll give you an article in C21, don't worry, if that's what you want.
Thank you, thank you.
I'm interested in the idea of, like Marina, Fremantle is based on not just selling ideas in, it's bringing ideas out. What's your take on this idea of risk aversity preventing the development of indigenous formats?
Well, no, I mean, we're very much of the belief that ideas come from everywhere, and Turkey is no exception. I mean, whether it's little unique aspects of the way they do the formats and we absorb them back into the center, I mean, that's great. There are aspects of things that happen that way. So, I mean, again, pulling this thing full circle, Global Agency and Fremantle recently partnered in some of our production territories to take the rights of It's Showtime, one of his new shows, a show we thought was great. And so, we're actually working with him as well. In some markets we're competitors, in some markets we're partners. So it's possible. I mean, and I can say now, you heard it here, but we're looking very closely at Turkey. We've hired a Turkish executive from Channel D, a really great, smart young guy named Ajun, Amach, who's coming to work with us in our Dubai office and bring some of the knowledge that we see coming out of Turkey and being handy for those markets. And we're looking at the market. Now, could it be a production company? Yes, but it could be a creative partnership of another kind. But we are looking at the market and an entry into it on a more substantial level. And we're exploring it. And that's one of the things that's, I think, really interesting about the way Fremantle approaches a market. Well, we have 30-ish production companies around the world. We don't always approach each market necessarily just saying, well, we are going to produce. It might be an option, but there are other ways that we can get value out of that market and be that IP business or otherwise.
Let's move on. Let's bring in Idil, Belli, the General Manager of Sera Film Services Turkey, patiently waiting at the end there. Thank you very much. Tell us about your experience in the unscripted space, domestically and internationally. How's it going out there?
Sera Film is one of the oldest distribution and production companies in the sector. We were founded in '88. There was only TRT1 and a public broadcaster then. And I started working with formats in late '90s. And became a major partner in Sera Film in 2006. We have a wide range of services. We license international formats in Turkey. We package deals. We also co-produce and produce. And we have a wide range of, again, genres from weekly to daily, from paper formats to international hits. And Sera Film is one of the first companies who brought Turkish formats into international scene. It was 2008, and we won the first C21 Format Awards, actually. And I'm very happy to say that then in my speech I said that you have to look into Turkey, follow it very closely. It will boom soon, and because there is a great talent and an energy in Turkey. And I'm very happy to say now that I said to you. And the thing is, later on we focused to international formats because we delivered more to prime time. At the moment, we have our Pearl title on ATV, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, heading to its 500th episode very soon. It's a title that is taken as the quality TV and appreciated by all audiences. We also have a outstanding factual entertainment on TRT1. It's a great adaptation from DRG catalog, a weekly primetime show being adapted to a daily daytime program thanks to our friends Cargo Production here. And it's going to its 200th episode. We also have a very well-known title called Think in Turkish kelime oyunu. It's from Bavaria Entertainment, and it's going to its 2000th episode, including its Kurdish version on TRD Kurdi. I think we touched to 1 to 2,000 hours of programming every year. And this doesn't mean that we have given up Turkish original ideas. And actually, we just recorded a new pilot, a family game show, just coming here the week before. It's in editing right now, and maybe you will hear about it later on when it's commissioned.
Maybe we'll give it an award or something like that. Maybe.
Hopefully.
Who knows? Idil, what's your thoughts on the comments that have raised on the panel thus far about risk aversity from the broadcasters when it comes to original IP, driving demand for international formats, and the way that other companies such as Izzet have their own self-financed development sort of system where they sort of reverse the format model and take it overseas first. And then we've seen Marina tapping the international brands like Unilever to finance original unscripted formats. What's your thoughts on those sort of the situation that they've described?
Yeah, we all know that Turkey is a drama-driven country, especially in prime time, and it's very understandable for broadcasters not to take risk very easily on prime time, and it's again easy for them to look for titles that have that has an international recognition and a proven track record. But I think daytime and niche channels and also weekend has lots of Turkish unscripted programming already, and broadcasters are giving lots of opportunities to the broadcasters in that time slot. So I hope that very soon that will jump to prime time and we'll see more of unscripted on prime time too.
So there's plenty of daytime slots for unscripted original Turkish formats.
Yes. And
on the niche channels, and if they're successful there, they could migrate into prime time. Yes. I mean, it's not unheard of. I think The Weakest Link did that in the UK many years ago. Are you developing unscripted original ideas for daytime in Turkey? Is that a source of revenue that you see?
Yeah, daytime is also important because when it's daytime, usually it's strip. So actually the value is quite similar to a primetime format. I think both are important. It doesn't matter really it's daytime or primetime, because nowadays around the world most of the daytimes are going through the week. So it became such an important time slot around the world.
Is that, Marina, is that a market that you're approaching, daytime?
At the moment we are concentrating on primetime.
Yeah, you're going to focus on the big...
However, I have to say Turkey is a great market in terms of game show successes, actually. And I think maybe the next local success should be a game show, because it's one of the very rare markets where if the game show works, it just works for so many episodes. And you can really make, good production margin. So Money Drop, for example, worked in Turkey for 150 episodes. It's unbelievable. So I think if you hit on the right idea on the local game show, so even if it's a daytime show, actually, it could probably be a success.
You can still make money. Yeah. And Jamie, Fremantle seems to be about big Saturday night, big shiny floor. Have you got daytime in the focus?
Well, I mean, daytime, all parts of the schedule. I think that's one of the things that, has been a focus for us in recent times, is that it's to not ignore other bits of the schedule.
Being
known for one thing. And I think really, and that goes for a lot of different people in this space as well. If you have a couple of big noisy Saturday night, as you call them, hits, it tends to be so distract from the fact that you're doing lots of business, lots of script programming, and we pay a lot of attention to daytime access prime and even late night slots, and we've done so in Turkey as well. And we've had shows like, and some of them more successful than others, but we've had We've had Family Feud and Not in Prime Time on for many years and on many different broadcasters. That's another thing that's good about Turkey is it's one of the few markets where you can fail with a program and then bring it back. And that's happened. I mean, I think it's happened with lots of different shows where, or it can switch broadcasters. You know, and we even had a show, what was it, a long time, Distraction. There was a show that was a UK format years and years ago, kind of a really edgy late night game show, which we had on as well. So it's all elements, and there's I think, as I said, there's so many broadcasters that there's enough space for it. It's just finding the right partners and doing it right, so you have yourself a hit.
Mm. Okay, and I'm going to ask Idil about the tapping brands. Is that something that Sera Film has explored or thought about? Tapping brands like Unilever's? I'm asking you whether you think there's a merit to Marina's argument about approaching the big brands like Unilever to finance production.
Well, yes, it's something that we haven't done so far, but I think it's something that has an opportunity. Okay.
I'm going to open it out to the floor in the last remaining minutes. Hopefully somebody might have a question. Just raise your hand and let us know who you are. So start thinking about that while I get to my next question. This is something for Idil and Izzet, I guess. The history of the format business has shown us that if you have a hit, you can expand out into other markets and take that format and use that format to prize open other production markets in other countries. Obviously, Endemol did that famously with Big Brother. Fremantle did that many years ago with their shows. And rather than just licensing the format and getting a 5% or whatever, you actually set up shop and produce it for the local market and then expand your global footprint. Is that something that Izzet or Idil has thought about or contemplated with the success of your exports?
I think having a big hit is very important. Like, for example, Big Brother, how it helped Endemol, you know, to become so big. For us, I think the biggest success has been with Shopping Monsters. It aired on M6 in France for over 500 episodes, and we have the best producer over there, Harry Hubert. He did a fantastic job. And also on Vox, it's been like 700 episodes in Croatia. It aired in like over 20 countries, and I think this brings recognition of Turkish formats. Like, for example, many people even don't know this Turkish product, but when they know that it's Turkish product, so they get curious to know what other things can come. Because to get recognition, you really need one big hit. And I think Shopping Monsters have been very helpful in that sense. And it opened up so many opportunities for other formats as well. And in terms of, you know, having like toys or other marketing tools for our format, Shopping Monsters, like the host of Shopping Monsters in Germany, he did a book, and also clothing line. Also, we are talking in France for doing other things. So it has these side effects as well, but our main focus is TV. Because when you have a good show, especially a daily show, it airs for 250 episodes a year. And of course, this is a big thing for distributors.
But your model is still going to be based on licensing the IP to another production company rather than setting up a global agency in Germany or global agency in...
Of course, the idea sounds interesting, but I think it's so stressful. And I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is indeed.
Yes.
Is this the voice of experience over here from Endemol with the 80 production companies around the world?
Yes, that's true. It's not easy to set up a company, not easy to find talent. And obviously we are very careful, you know, about every market we enter. But I love Turkey, so there was no question mark. I wanted to be in Turkey, company wanted to be in Turkey. And we finally have a team that we are very proud of.
Cool.
And also great distribution agents for our first drama.
Yes. We partnered together for their great series, Broken Pieces. It's #1. And also I want to thank you, for trusting me and giving me the rights.
Idil, what's your thoughts of global expansion of Sera Films taking over the world and all the rest of it?
We don't have such plans at the moment, but I think some of the Turkish producers are setting up companies abroad, not necessarily because they have a strong international property. They are just expanding their services in other countries too.
Okay, interesting, interesting. Any questions from the floor here? Anyone with a hand in the air? I can't see any. Okay. Hope they're all awake.
I think there's one over there.
Oh yeah?
Two.
Two?
Yes.
Like, come like buses?
Yeah, more. We want more.
Can you tell us who you are first?
Hello, I'm Çağıl from Turkey. I would like to ask a question to Izzet Pinto. You have said that you made a format competition and there has been like 500 applications and you downsized it to 5. Are there any criteria to downsizing it? I mean, in terms of, does it have to be a game show or does it have to have elements, characteristic of local elements or something, I don't know.
It can be any genre, because I believe that any genre can be successful, from dating to lifestyle, wedding shows, anything. But what is important is when we read it, it needs to make us excited right away, like within 3 seconds. If we think about it, then we don't like it. Like, it really needs to catch our attention within 5 seconds. And it's not easy, because many people think that they have the next big thing, but unfortunately not, because selling is not easy. That's why we have to be very selective.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Was there a second question up there?
Good afternoon. My name's Melissa. I have a question. What's the most important thing, if you have an idea for a show, to actually sell the format, to find a television production company, to film a pilot, a sizzle, to go directly to a network? What's like the most important thing, to, like the fastest way to try to get something done?
Whew, that's a big one. Marina, give it a go.
Okay. Well, several elements. First of all, you know, if you create a new format, you really need to think through the structure of the format, and you need to think through the unique elements of it. And once you're kind of registered and also create the proper Bible, as we call it, then you know you can decide. I don't know whether your question was already about production or just at the conceptual stage. So obviously, to sell it to a broadcaster is not a paper format. Is not so easy to sell. Sometimes broadcasters take risks, but very rarely they would commission just a paper format. So you would either have to invest into a pilot, broadcast pilot, or sometimes, I have to say, in some territories we've been lucky to do not a broadcast pilot, but to produce a video which can give an idea of how the show can look like. And so if you have some concepts, you can bring them to our producers, come to us.
Bring to me.
You're welcome. I'm happy. So we're always reviewing new concepts.
You haven't heard the format yet.
And the criteria within Endemol, you know, ideally the format should work in the local country of origin, and it will be much easier for it to travel outside.
Excellent.
Thank you.
I want to talk to Idil about the transformation that formats go when they come into Turkey, because I think you've got a reel to show us that could take us towards the end of the session that illustrates how you've localized some international ideas. Tell us what happens when you see the show a hit in Holland or UK or US, and you think what bits of it would make that work in Turkey, and how you adapt the format.
Well, it depends to the format, of course. Could be anything from the host till, to the location, but also there could be new segments added to the format, or some certain things can be taken out, and or there are formats that you have to adapt exactly as the way it is. So depending on the format, and depending on the requirements of the time slot, broadcaster, we try to make the best decision.
Just to wrap up, we've heard from the panel about the exports of Turkey being obviously dominated by drama, but there's a small but important chunk of those exports being unscripted formats. The risk aversity of the local networks is perhaps inhibiting the development of local ideas, but the producers there are finding ways around that, such as Izzet, self-financing the pilots, self-financing the sizzles, and even coming up with the ideas yourself and taking them out to market first and bringing them into Turkey. We've heard about Marina going around the risk aversity of networks and tapping the advertisers directly, such as Unilever, to fund the production, and then almost giving it to the network as a brand-funded program. The risk aversity is actually helping the likes of Jamie and Idil, because they want the tried and tested formats. You know, all their risk taking is happening on their drama slots, the networks, that is, all the risks taking on drama. So they want the unscripted area to be as risk-free as possible. So it's allowing the likes of Jamie and in fact all the panel to bring in tried and tested formats from overseas. So all that remains for me is to end on a rather positive note, that it's a small but developing slice of the Turkish export story, which seems to be growing from year to year. So all it remains for me is to thank Izzet, Marina, Jamie and Idil for their contributions to this panel, and thank you guys for coming up and asking questions at the back there. Thank you.